Oh, Veggie boy, you're gonna have a really bad time if you don't adapt. Hey guys, MasakoX here, and Merry Christmas! Today is December the 25th, and if you're watching this right now, I'm currently in Japan, probably getting ready, or may have already seen, the upcoming Broly movie, and I'll be making a video about that, which you'll probably see on this channel either later today or tomorrow. Depends on what I get up to. Be sure to look out for that one, but for now, we are into the final edition of our little Christmas celebration of What If-ery, which of course is, what if Vegeta celebrated Christmas? Wait, Masako? Really? What, this is just a silly idea. Dragon Ball doesn't celebrate Christmas, what's the point of this? It's a Japanese show. Yes, you are correct, it is indeed a Japanese show. And yes, Dragon Ball does have Eastern cultural references, but it does have its fair share of Western ones as well. And there have been allusions to the festive season in various merchandising, as well as promo art and just general art from Toriyama. So there is some kind of connection with Dragon Ball and Christmas, albeit mostly material and commercial. But I get the feeling that with just a little bit of tweaking, and if Dragon Ball were a little bit more in the Western scheme of things, I feel that we could actually have a Dragon Ball Christmas special. So what better theme than A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens and Vegeta playing Ebenezer Scrooge? For those of you who've not been able to keep up, this tale takes place between the 3-year time skip between when Trunks warns about the androids and the androids arriving. Why did I pick this timeline? Well, there's just a lot of narrative progression to be had here. There's 3 years where you don't really see anything happen, so anything, any potential things that could happen in the Android and Cell saga could have been, I don't know, seeded here. The transition from Vegeta being a cold and ruthless mercenary to an actual dependable member of the Z-Fighters could have started here if, of course, Vegeta celebrated Christmas. And yes, I know, even in the time of the Namek saga, he was pretty cold and bitter, not being the strongest Saiyan out there because of Kakarot. But I feel that there were some moments with his interactions with the humans that started to kind of chip away at his outer shell. He had begun to understand the whole idea of asking for help to achieve his goals. Yes, he's not changed too much from his early days, but, you know, this is just the slow baby steps towards what we get in the Buu saga. And then ultimately to the point where he actually cares about his second child in the universe survival arc, to the point where he's actually chastising Trunks for being not careful enough. It proves that he is capable of change, so let's just ring in the change for him right here. In the previous 2 parts, Vegeta was visited by 2 spirits that actually conveyed his past and present, as well as Nappa overseeing the whole thing, and probably getting a lot of satisfaction from it, tormenting his former boss. Why is Nappa taking the lead here? Well, he was the only constant in Vegeta's life for the longest time, and when Vegeta got rid of him, it pretty much set the tone for what we're getting here. Nappa is basically Jacob Marley. Vegeta had revisited his troubled past as well as his solitary present, and it hadn't really got through to him that he needed to change. None of that was good enough to really get something moving in his mind. All he had to do was just make some simple changes and he'd be easily able to adapt, but no, Vegeta still thinks that he's awesome and he's not going to change a single thing. Well, I think that's about to change with the 3rd and final apparition, and I actually think that this might be the darkest and most twisted apparition yet. Right at the end of part 2, Vegeta had found himself buried somewhere. He couldn't breathe, he couldn't see, he could barely hear, and he had no choice but to try and dig himself out of it. Slowly losing consciousness, Vegeta blasts a beam right up in the air with his remaining strength, and it's just enough to be able to carve out the earth above him, so that means he can at least fly up and try and escape, or at least just clamber out, gasping for air. What does he see when he comes out the top? Well, nothing but wasteland and the night sky. And that's it. It's like it's a barren world. For a moment, Vegeta is just left there on his own, just with his thoughts. He's just trying to process what exactly happened here. How did he get underground? Why was he underground? Is anyone here? Is he alone? He has so many questions. Is Bulma here, the woman with the green hair? He'd take the buffoon Nappa just for some kind of company or some kind of answer. Then, after what seems like hours, the 3rd ghost appears. And this visage is not something he immediately recognizes. The ghost of Christmas future is Kakarot, but it's not the Kakarot that he's used to. This Kakarot is not his happy-go-lucky self, not the youthful self that Vegeta really despised. He looks far older than he is in the present, like he's about to meet his maker. Vegeta's all too well aware of the fact that Saiyans don't really age that much until the age of 80, And when they get to that age, they pretty much just fall off the wagon and there's not much time left for them. You know, it's all meant to be about keeping themselves in their prime for the longest time so they could be useful in a battle. Goku's hair is pure white. His skin, it may be kind of youthful, not too many liver spots, but it does have some quite substantial wrinkles, as if to note that, you know, Goku's seen a lot of things and he has aged quite a bit. This still catches Vegeta off guard though, despite being aware of this. He's not seen that many Saiyans who get to this point because, you know what they do. Goku welcomes Vegeta to this really strange place, but Vegeta cuts him off, thinking, Yeah, what kind of nonsense lesson are you trying to teach me now, Kakarot? When the Goku Ghost, or Ghost-Ku, doesn't shut up, Vegeta then makes him shut up by punching him in the face, thinking that Goku would dodge, but he doesn't. He actually got the jump on him. The old Goku Ghost is down on the ground, gasping for air, coughing. He really got winded. He stays down there for a moment. Vegeta moves a little closer, thinking he actually injured him quite a bit. But then, just like the old wily Goku, he then powers up to Super Saiyan, just for a brief second, and then punches Vegeta back, catching him off guard then too. That Goku, he still got it, albeit fleetingly. Vegeta didn't quite get to see the actual full Super Saiyan Goku in this cowl, but he could definitely feel it. By the time Vegeta gets up again, he's no longer in the Super Saiyan form and Goku is just coughing and spluttering and just getting back on his feet properly. What's he doing here? What is the whole Christmas message this time? They're basically in it right now. You know, this wasteland, nothingness. You getting what I'm trying to say, Jeets? This area isn't just an Earth wasteland, it's not even Earth at all. It's not even in their galaxy. It turns out that if Vegeta carried on the path that he was actually setting for himself in the present, he would wind up here, all alone, with no one to care about him, no one to fight, no one to spar with. He'd be just on his own. This was spurred on by the fact that the Z-Fighters, and Bulma included, were getting sick and tired of Vegeta's constant trying to rage against the system and resistance and just being an overall jerk, and it got to the point where they actually told Goku to take care of him. They wanted rid of him, and Goku's up for a fight. And every time Vegeta would try and get stronger, Goku would just get even stronger and beat it down to the point where even Goku was getting sick and tired of him. So Vegeta had no choice but to just leave this planet to try and find a better challenge and people that weren't so sentimental and lovey-dovey. He'd basically just become what he was in the past again. And this time without the direction of Frieza. With his pride damaged because he was beaten by Kakarot and he knew that he wasn't the strongest Saiyan out there, he just had to find things to do. He ended up basically like an intergalactic drifter. He had grown weary, and despite the fact that he could still rip people in half, he could still do that, but he didn't really want to anymore. He couldn't be bothered. It was just, where's the fun in that? All of this drifting for decades had just broken his spirit, to the point where it was beyond repair. He was forgotten by history, and eventually he succumbed to his loneliness. And the only reason that he was even buried, that anyone could be bothered to be buried, was a wandering passerby dug a shallow grave for him just to get rid of the smell. That was no way for a prince to be just honored. This gets through to Vegeta. He is horrified. He does not want to leave this world in this way. This is unbefitting for a prince. He had all the power in the world. He was one of the strongest beings in the galaxy. He could rule over men. He could rule over everything. He could show fear in the hearts of all the souls of people. And to end up as this really lonely and sad drifter? All because I just can't get on with some decorations? Really? Why didn't this future self resort to doing that? It was so easy! The opportunity was right there, and Kakarot wouldn't stop him! But the answer is staring him in the face. Kakarot, now grey and old, had obviously worn him down so much that his pride and spirit were just completely broken. It had changed Vegeta into a very desperate soul who was trying to find some kind of meaning in life, and thus he escaped the planet. Nobody wanted him, nobody remembered him, nobody wanted to train with him because he was just such a jerk. And really, that hurts a Saiyan a lot. With Planet Vegeta gone and the Saiyan name slowly disappearing into the ether that is time, Vegeta had no leg to stand on. He will not have that. Those other two ghosts, they didn't really get the message across, but this one did. And it had to come from Kakarot of all people. Goku was the one to get through to him that if he wanted to retain his princely title and be seen with respect from pretty much anyone he would meet, he just has to toe the line. He doesn't have to love it, he just has to tolerate it. Just roll with it. He begins to understand. He feels joy and relief that he will not be forgotten. He will be the Prince of all Saiyans, and he will make sure that people remember that. Goku, the old Goku, nods sagely and says, good enough, and just turns around, walks away, his job done. Vegeta scrambles downstairs to see if everybody's still there, and they are, all crumpled on couches, camp beds, the floor. Everyone just really tired after a really hard day's work putting up decorations. Vegeta looks around at them, and actually begins to appreciate them. You know what? They're not all that bad. They don't have to know that. Vegeta's rapid breaths start to slow down. He calms down. At this point, Bulma enters the room and is just harumphing at Vegeta, thinking he's about to destroy everything again. Before she leaves the room, ignoring Vegeta, he pipes up, "Woman! I'm sorry for what I did." Not really looking her in the eye. Despite this lackluster apology, this still catches Bulma off guard. Vegeta? Apologizing? Oh my goodness, it's a Christmas miracle! Bulma smiles and just says, don't worry about it, it's not the end of the world or anything. Vegeta then shudders, remembering the last dream that he had. Or it was more like a nightmare. For the rest of the day, Vegeta isn't exactly like Scrooge and celebrating Christmas with all of his heart and stuff like that. That's just not Vegeta's character, at least not right at this point. I think at the very least, he will just tolerate it. He'll just get into it somewhat. Maybe secretly enjoy it, but he won't let anyone else know that. That's not befitting for a prince. But you know what? For Bulma, for everyone else, this is good enough. His pride is intact, his name will not be forgotten, and that's all that Vegeta cares about. If all he has to do to have that is just celebrate this whole silly Christmas thing, then so be it. And there we go. That's Vegeta's celebration of Christmas, all done and dusted in a what if. It's just a little bit of fun, and I know it's non-canonical, but I just thought it was a little bit of fun trying to understand Vegeta's character and see how it would mesh with a classic Dickens story, to see whether it would actually work. It kind of does. I know that Scrooge actually completely reformed himself. I know that Vegeta wouldn't, but I think he would at least do enough so that means he'd just get by. I don't think the gang would expect him to do a complete 180 overnight. They're just happy that they're not going to be berated for it. So what do you guys think? Did you like this little what if? Did you have a good Christmas? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe and have a happy holiday. Catch you later.